All right, every sport today, welcome back. We
Yes,
have
sir.
the college football playoff national championship to talk about today. It's in the books. The season's over.
It's done.
Let's start here because I feel like everyone handles football seasons ending differently. How do you personally handle the end of the college football season?
To me, I kind of see it as like a celebration.
Okay.
It's almost like Christmas for me. Like once it happens, it goes by so fast. Like the national championship, it's just over, and then you're like, you kind of just like reminisce. I started reminiscing last night watching the game, just like all the moments throughout the season
Yeah.
for me that were exciting, and that's what I kind of look at college football as is you're not always going to be the national champion, and this is just coming. I'm a fan of a certain team like Florida Gators, so that's how I feel. But even if you're not a fan of a certain team and you just like the sport, like you just got to kind of recognize, like, you know what? Good for Ohio State. It was their year. They got the national championship. Let's just reminisce on the year. A lot of teams had great moments this year.
Yeah.
So I think we just got to kind of celebrate it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of one of those things where the season ends and you're just kind of happy, and then you get to like April, and you're like, when does football
Yeah.
come back? Like I'm not upset that football ends right after football ends. I'm upset that football ends in like the summer. Like that's when I'm annoyed because I'm just like, can we bring this back? How much longer do we need for this? That's how I feel.
That's
I
what
was just getting
upsets
antsy.
me too. And I get what you're saying. Like it's the celebration for me. Like I reminisce on all the great moments, but I start thinking about the grueling Saturdays. And I
Yeah,
say grueling Saturdays for me because I love Saturdays. It's probably my favorite day of the week because of college football. When it is in season, it just the day is 10 times better than any other day of the week to me.
true.
Like the pageantry, waking up that morning, college game day on the TV, big noon kickoff on the TV. You
Big
got
noon
all your
kickoff
gear
on
on.
nothing.
Yeah, well, you got your college gear on that morning. You're going to the donut shop, the grocery store. You see everybody else with their college gear on. You're kind of eyeing the rival fan. I love it. I love everything about it, and you get that a little bit with basketball and baseball,
Yeah,
but it's not the same to me. So it's you got to kind of appreciate those fall Saturdays because you only get really a certain amount of them if you don't go to the playoffs. If you're like a team that doesn't even go to bowl game, you get like 12.
exactly. It's a shame, man. You like
Yeah,
a season could end after 11 games for some people, and then you have Ohio State who
yeah,
plays what 15 that end the
like
season. Like it's
18
crazy.
games
Yeah,
basically.
it's insane at this point. I mean, we'll talk about more about the 12-team playoff in a minute, but like the
Yeah,
fact that both these teams have played so many games this year and are now at the national championship, and it felt like they still had some left in the tank. Obviously,
yeah.
they left it all out on the field, and we are going to talk about the game. But like it was impressive from a viewing standpoint to see those guys go out and play the way they did, having played so many games throughout the season. And I think it was a big factor. Like I think it ended up being a factor in this game late, as you kind of saw with Ohio State's defense. But
Yeah.
I think it's just a testament to the coaching and the training staff for these teams and how good college organizations are at just getting their players ready. Right? This isn't the pros. This isn't like these kids are still going to school. Like they still have to go take classes. I mean, some of them are probably the rest of them. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know how
You
many of
know,
them actually are. Let's be honest.
well, a lot of those guys take like online classes, but
Yeah, yeah,
for me watching yesterday, it was like Notre Dame and Ohio State are like superheroes and like in the final battle. Notre Dame had used all of its best powers and best moves leading up to the game. And even that first drive was like their final push
yeah.
where like they took the whole quarter. It was like a 12 play drive. And you're like, wow, this team could really do it. As soon as Ohio State got the ball on offense, I'm like, oh, bro, they got so many tricks up their sleeve, bro. It's like
Exactly.
they're just like they were like Superman. Like no matter what they did yesterday, they just did like a final push where they just I think before the game all talked to each other and they're like, let's just go out there and play 110% all together and nobody can beat us.
Yeah.
And that's what they
Exactly.
did, man. Like
Yeah.
Notre Dame played man to man coverage and they got what happens. And man to man coverage with Ohio State. Like I get your confidence and you guys played some good teams. Penn State's got some good players. You know, Georgia's got some good players, but this Ohio State team is one of those like it's going to go down as one of those like top teams where you think about like, ooh, that roster was deadly, bro.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
coming into the season, we thought this. We thought, hey,
Yes.
Will Howard, Junkins, Henderson, Jeremiah
Travion
Smith,
Henderson,
Egbuka, Carnell
Mbuka,
Tate, like all these names,
Jack Sawyer,
you're just like, wow, here we go. Like this team is
Caleb
incredible.
Downs.
Yeah. I mean, obviously $10 million team, right? Like there's
Yeah.
a reason why this team got to the national championship. But the fact that they actually did it, I think, is the most impressive part because there's a lot of
Yeah.
people who just talk and talk and talk. And a lot of people in the media, especially for Ohio State, who go, well, Ohio State's here again. Can they actually get the job done? And then they have the let up to Michigan, which was just, like we said last week, just a complete anomaly. You throw it out, and they come back this week, and they come back in the college football playoff, and they were absolutely dominant throughout the entire playoff. And that's
Look,
where the credit starts.
like if you're an Ohio State hater, probably the biggest thing was that Michigan game, like you said. It's the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
Because it was like everyone was like laughing at them, like, haha, you guys lost to Michigan 4 years in a row. And any other year, they wouldn't have been allowed to even go to the playoffs or even sniff it because of that
Exactly.
loss. But they got a chance this year. And to me, they've kind of shut everybody up where it's like they won in such dominating fashion in some of these games where it's like, even it didn't say it on the scoreboard yesterday with the Notre Dame game. We were kind of texting about it.
Yeah.
It still felt like a blowout. Like Ohio State was just a much better team.
Well,
Like,
and let's
out.
start breaking down the game here because Ohio State's first half was flawless in my eyes. Like I texted you that might be a perfect first half of football. They scored
I turned
on
off
every
the game.
Yeah, they scored on every possession. They didn't have a single offensive penalty or defensive penalty for that sake, even though they let up that huge drive. But like offensively, it was a perfect game. And outside of that first drive, they were flawless on defense too. It was the most impressive first half I've ever seen in my entire life. Do you think that like first half and being so dominant was just a continuing momentum from how they've played in the college football playoff, or do you think this was a, hey, we're going to come out, shut these guys up, and then we're going to figure out the rest of the game? What do you think their game plan was coming into it?
It was like the final cherry on top, sprinkles, whatever it was.
Yeah,
they had to get. They wanted
sprinkles.
to come out and just. Yeah, I do. They're going to get rid of them in 3 years, by the way. But
they're getting rid of sprinkles.
Yeah, they're banning like the food dyes, and that's what sprinkles are.
Really?
So, yeah, by
That's
2027, stupid. Guys, just letting you know, colored sprinkles by 2027, the United States will be gone.
Okay, then just throw chocolate sprinkles on them.
Those will still be there. Chocolate sprinkles are still, but yeah. Anyways, Ohio State came out and they just did everything. Like it was the best I've seen them play all year.
Yeah.
And they waited until the final national championship game to do it. I don't care who they played yesterday in college football, they would have beat them. The only teams I think in college football history that would have beat them yesterday is maybe 2019 LSU, 2004 USC, 01 Miami. That's probably it.
They played like one of the best teams that we've ever seen. They really did.
Yeah.
Especially in that first half. Literally flawless, like I said.
Notre Dame played. I was watching them on defense here too. Like they had one missed coverage on Jeremiah Smith, but pretty much the whole game they were playing good coverage. Like, and they had 6-7 guys in the box consistently on defense and up front. But Ohio State was just better.
Yeah,
like they were in good positions to make tackles, good positions in coverage on defense, but they just couldn't match up athletically with Ohio State.
Yeah,
and Notre Dame's got really good players too.
Exactly. I think people want to bash Notre Dame's defense too much after this game. I saw a lot of people talking shit on Notre Dame's defense, but it's like, what do you want them to do? Play single coverage like on the outside with Jeremiah Smith and Egbuka? Like play two safeties over the top and then have Judkins and Henderson running down your throat? Like,
to start. Yeah.
Exactly. Like what do you want them to do in this situation? So they drop back in zone a lot. And when you're in zone, also against guys like Jeremiah Smith and Egbuka, they're going to find ways to fill that zone. Like, I don't know what you wanted them to do in this game. The only thing I did want them to do defensively is get a fucking third down stop. Like, that was another thing that was the flawless part of Ohio State's first half. They converted every third down. That's unheard of. That alone should tell you how this game went in the first half. So,
the other thing is, I think a lot more guys, kind of like Chip Kelly and Cliff Kingsbury, guys that are so offensive minded that aren't great head coaches. They really aren't because they can't get a grasp on the defense, special teams, everything. They just focus on the offense.
Yeah.
And you see when they get put in positions as offensive coordinators, how well they succeed because they can just fully focus on that. The play calling yesterday for Ohio State, it was like Chip Kelly waited to the final game to pull all of his best plays out of the bag. That first touchdown of theirs by Ohio State, where they got on field, they have the tight end cross the field, right? And then the running back acts like he's going to the left, and then he slips out to the right and gets touchdown. He's right by the pylon. There's no one there.
So I don't know if you saw this, Mel Kiper did a breakdown of that play because that was Jeremiah Smith's touchdown.
Mel Kiper did?
Yeah. So
no, I didn't see
that was
Mel
Jeremiah
Kiper.
Smith's touchdown.
I saw like Joel Klatt talk about it, but not Mel Kiper.
So, yeah, Kiper did a video on this. I saw it on Instagram Reels earlier today. That exact same play that they ran with Jeremiah Smith coming in, acting like he was going to do some sort of like jet pass, jet sweep, something like that, and then just stopping and going straight to the outside while the tight end pulls and all that. It's the exact same play that Alabama ran against Ohio State the last time that they were in the national championship, and he threw the ball to Devontae Smith. It's the exact same play. And Chip Kelly saw that and took it and put it into his own offense. What is this? 4 years later after that game, and implemented it into his offense perfectly. So to your point, these coaches, man, like Kingsbury's doing it with the Commanders.
Well, he left UCLA. Chip Kelly, he had a head coaching job still. It wasn't like they were going to fire him.
Exactly.
He was still the head coach, and he was going to be in the Big Ten with Ryan Day. They were both going to be head coaches.
Yeah.
But he saw levels to it. He's like, I could make just a little bit less money, still making millions to be at Ohio State and win a national championship as an offense coordinator. And my life is less stressful. I'm going to go do that. I don't blame him.
It's genius.
I don't blame Cliff either. Cliff's in the NFC Championship game now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he got fired by Arizona a few years ago, but I mean, he's
but
found his place.
Yeah, like if
you
Cliff
even
Kingsbury,
heard him.
Yeah.
They interviewed him. They're like, "Would you take a head coaching job?" And he's like laughing. He's like, maybe. He's like, at some point, yeah.
He's like,
I enjoy what I'm doing now.
Yeah, should I go coach the Raiders or should I stay here with Jaden Daniels for the next 4 years?
Go to the Raiders and you guys draft like Will
Cam
Howard
Ward.
in the late second round or something because you guys wasted your first draft pick. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think he made the right decision. And I think Chip Kelly made the right decision too. There's a lot of great offensive minds out there, and they are perfectly fit for an offensive coordinator role.
Well,
so
is a guy like if, let's say, not next year, but the year after, USC has 2 more like 7 and 5 years, and Lincoln Riley looks like he's about to get pushed out of USC, and he gets like an offer for like $2 million to be offensive coordinator for like a pro team. I think he'll go take it.
I would do that if I was him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a pro team, I'd take a shot on him too. They've had incredible offenses. Like he's had incredible offenses under him for a very long time.
It's like USC, they lose their games because their defense. Their offense is still very good. I just don't think he's a great head coach.
Yeah. Detroit Lions need an offensive coordinator.
They do. And I know this isn't an NFL podcast, but I want to say something about Ben Johnson.
Go ahead.
I don't think he's going to work in Chicago. I don't think he's a head coach. I think he's an offensive coordinator. I think he's a really great offensive coordinator. I think the reason he hasn't taken a head coaching job yet and he's so picky on it is he knows that himself. He's not like a leader of men. I've never heard stories about Ben Johnson like rallying guys and getting them ready for a game. I've heard about him drawing up amazing offensive plays and coming up with this offensive system that everyone's in love with. But I don't see him as a guy, especially in Chicago, after losing a game to like the Packers or something on Monday Night Football, talking to the media.
So real quick on the Ben Johnson thing. We've talked about this on the podcast relentlessly. I think Dan Campbell is not a great head coach. I think he's an incredible motivator. I think Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are both incredible coordinators. So when you piece that together and you take the great coaching from the coordinators and the excellent motivator that is Dan Campbell, that's what makes that work so well. When you remove the piece of the excellent coordinators and you have to rely on Dan Campbell to do a lot more coaching, I think that falls off. But also to your point, when you have a guy like Ben Johnson who now has to step up and be that motivator on top of the great coach, I don't know if he can do that either. I also hate the way that they went about this, like accepting the job 2 days after losing in the playoffs and going to a rival team. I think that's stupid. Like, we're going to talk about Ben Johnson more on the NFL podcast, but like, I thought that move was stupid.
I really do. And I just think teams are obsessed now with getting like an offensive guru behind your quarterback. And I'm like, that's not like the full solution in a city like Chicago. Like if this was Vegas or Arizona or something where the culture's not the same, then yeah. But
Yeah.
the media in Chicago is ruthless. I don't know if Ben Johnson's going to be able to handle that,
Yeah,
to be
that's fair.
honest with you.
Yeah, completely fair. All right, let's
He's a
get back
very
to this game.
quiet, like timid guy.
Yeah, let's get back to this game. Notre
Yeah.
Dame came out, started the drive insanely hot. Riley Leonard was incredible on that first drive, just running the ball straight down their throats. And then they just started to stall out. What do you think? And then they, kicked it back up in the end. What do you think the issue was with Notre Dame where it was just like they just couldn't get anything going? Like, what was the problem after coming out and having such a dominant first drive?
Their offense is built to where they have to run a slow system where they run the ball. Riley Leonard does play action passing.
Yeah.
Takes about 9 to 12 drive plays on average to score a touchdown. And that's a perfect drive. When you're playing a team like Ohio State that can score within 3 plays, 4 plays, you can't play like that. And I just felt like they were playing catch up a lot and they were trying to play outside of their comfort zone and put Riley Leonard into a box where he's not supposed to be. Like I don't think Riley Leonard's going to be an NFL quarterback.
No.
He's a college guy, right? And you have to run a college football system behind him. And I think that's what happened. Notre Dame just kind of ran into a wall where they're like, we can't match up offensively with Ohio State and play this back and forth game with them. They needed to have a great defensive game where they could like kind of contain them like Texas did and maybe sneak out a win in the end. But that's not what happened.
Yeah, I think it was Big Cat who tweeted, and it was just Riley Leonard, get ready to learn Taysom Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, he's not that, like, special teams type player, but, like, that's the type of role that he would be able to fit into is, like, learning how to, like, semi-play tight end and then being able to, like, QB sneak. Like, that's where he could maybe carve out a role in the NFL. Yeah. That's pretty much it, though. So it's tough.
I mean, the best like college quarterback, I'm not talking about like quarterback ever to play in college, but like college quarterback, Tim Tebow. Yeah. And that's kind of what Riley Leonard kind of is, and Taysom Hill was too, is like, that's what I think of when I think of a college quarterback is like a Tim Tebow. That's the best version. And that's what Riley Leonard does.
Yeah.
Is he can throw the ball. It's not the best. He can't sit in the pocket and tear you apart, but he can get the job done. And he's a great leader of men.
Yeah.
And Riley Leonard really is. Like, he's walked in that locker room in 1 year, and everyone in that locker room would die for that guy, man. Really.
Exactly.
Seriously, just watching these guys play for him. So,
well, and we got to give credit to them.
Strengths about him.
We got to give credit to them for fighting back in this game, man. Like, this felt like it was over, and then kind of out of nowhere, they just kind of figured it out. And 2 touchdowns, 2 great 2-point conversions. Great House was incredible in this game. That dude's really good. Like I wouldn't be shocked if, he's only a sophomore. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back and he's one of the best wide receivers in the country, depending on who they get throwing to him. I like this Angeli guy actually. If he's decent next year.
Can Riley Leonard come back? I haven't looked at his eligibility.
I don't believe so. I don't think either of the quarterbacks in this game can come back. I mean, I know they're both seniors. I know that for a fact. So I doubt that either of them can come back. But we'll see. Jeremiah Love will be back though. That's a big piece for this team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Jeremiah Love just couldn't do anything in this game. Obviously, the game script was kind of a part of that, going down so big, so early. But, like, you had 2 drives where you could have easily utilized him at the beginning, and he got 4 carries the entire game. Like, you can't get Jeremiah Love more involved. I didn't understand that part of it.
That's where they think they were trying to play catch-up with Ohio State, and they weren't playing their game.
Yeah, that was the issue. In my eyes.
Notre Dame's game is running the ball, giving Jeremiah Love the ball. He's the best player in their offense.
Yeah. The game script, yes. How the game turned out did not turn out in Notre Dame's favor at all, to your point. Like, if you want to script a Notre Dame game, it's not like this. I can guarantee you that much. They would have liked the first drive, though. I can guarantee you that. Yeah. I think any team would like a 9-minute, 75-yard touchdown on the first drive.
When Ohio State went up 31-7, I turned on the show 1923 and I put the game on my phone on YouTube TV. And I was just kind of keeping track of it. And we were texting back and forth like, it's over.
Yeah.
When it got back to like it was 31-23, that's when I turned it back on the big TV. I was like, oh, Notre Dame. This Irish magic. Let's see what happens. And then, Ohio State was just like, nah, I don't want to do that.
Well, and they scored the touchdown and the 2-point conversion near the end of the third. And I was kind of like, oh, wait. This is actually only a 2-score game. it felt way more
Yeah.
lopsided. Like you look at the score and it's like, wow, this is actually a 16-point game. This is kind of crazy. So now I want to ask you, they go
The
for the
field
field
goal.
goal. Yeah. They're down 16, they're down 16 at that point. They go for the field goal to try and cut it to what, 13, to cut
Well,
it
I mean,
to where they don't have to go for
yeah.
two every time. How'd you feel about that call? Obviously, it was like a 4th and 5 or something like that, but it wasn't like a guarantee. I mean, it was a difficult play, let's just say the least. I'm finding the play right now so we can make sure we know like the
To
yardage
be
and stuff.
honest, I liked it because yeah, you have 16 points, and that's technically a two-score game.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed you're going to get those 2-point conversions, and eventually you'll probably have to kick a field goal if you want to win the game.
Yeah.
I'm in favor if don't set up to just try to kick a field goal that first drive, but if you get into a hole where you're like, crap, it's 4th down, don't go for it on 4th down. Kick the field goal. I'm okay with it because it's like at that point, just take your points, and it's like, okay, that was successful, guys. Let's go back, and this time it's really a two-score game.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but I guess when you're playing a team like Ohio State in the national championship game, yeah, probably go for it.
I think that's where people had the issue.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of people bashing Freeman for the decision. I mean, they were even talking about it on the ESPN commentary. Herbstreit was talking about it. He did not like the call. He would have rather gone for it. But like, it was 4th and goal on the 9-yard line. That's not an easy play compared to a 27-yard field goal, which just basically takes out the need for two-point conversions, which are 50,
Yeah.
which are 45-55 anyways. They're not 50-50. We know that for a fact. They are lower than 50%. So I don't know. I agree with the decision. At the end of the day, the field goal actually wouldn't have mattered because if you look at it this way, if they kick the field goal, they go down 13. If they then score the touchdown on the next drive still, they just don't go for 2. And so they just score a touchdown, get the extra point. They're down 6. So if Ohio State still kicks a field goal, it's a 9-point game. The game's still over, right? So
Yeah.
I thought about that, and that's why I'm a little bit more okay with the call in hindsight of things. It didn't really play too much of an impact. But if you do go for it and somehow get that, that is
It almost
a huge difference.
felt like Notre Dame was trying to like just add points to the resume for the game. Like they kind of knew they were going to lose.
Well, and it's a 27-yarder. Like you expect your kicker to make that 95% of the time, if not more. Like that's a chip shot that should be made so many times. That's kind of the worst part of all of this. Is like,
I will say this.
Go ahead.
I do think Penn State, I don't think they would have won versus Ohio State, but I think it would have been a better game.
I don't think so.
I really don't.
I don't think so. I think Ohio State, like the Ohio State offense that we saw, you think they're getting stopped by Penn State more than they are against Notre Dame? Like, do you think that? Especially with how they played in the first half?
I do a little bit because James Franklin and Penn State know Ohio State a little bit better than Notre Dame does, so I think it would have been a little bit closer.
Do you think do you think Penn State's putting up 23 points on Ohio State?
No.
Yeah. Are they putting up 13 points? Maybe.
They usually only put up like 9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I have a hard time with saying that I think Penn State would have been a better matchup, because it's like, I don't know, man. Ohio State was just the best team in the playoffs. Like,
I will say, I do think this national championship game, like, there's just been so many games.
Yeah.
I do feel like there's a little wear and tear. Like, fans almost didn't really know the game was yesterday. And I think the inauguration of the new president, too, also took part in that.
And Martin Luther King
kind of
Jr.
took away the attention. Like, people forgot about the national championship game.
Yeah. It didn't have a lot of hype.
No, it didn't. It didn't really
weird.
have a lot of hype at all. Like, I kind of just, like, was sitting there and I was like, oh, crap, dude, national championship game is on in, like, 30 minutes. And then I turned the game on. Like, and even after, like, Will Howard was so hyped. Like, and I get it, he just won a national championship game, but, like, it just didn't seem like there wasn't, like, any excitement from, like, the media or anyone. Like, I don't know that many people care that Ohio State won the national championship.
Well, there hasn't been much hype today either. Like,
no,
there hasn't been much like follow up on it. Normally, when someone wins a championship, there's like a day of full celebration and stuff like that. And outside of Barstool Sports and Ohio State talking shit to Dave Portnoy, which I think maybe 10 people care about in the world. Uh,
Yeah.
there wasn't really a lot of like internet buzz about it. So I
They
don't
were
know.
just
It's
comparing
tough.
it to other national championships. Like even last year's, I guess, didn't have that much hype. But I think it was a little bit more last year because Michigan had been so long for
Yeah,
them.
it
Ohio
was.
State's been 10 years, and I just don't think. I think maybe they had a few losses this year, so people aren't really like, "Oh my god, that's one of the best teams ever." I saw a few recency bias of some idiots saying they're like the best team ever they've ever seen. And I'm like,
Well,
no,
here's the thing that I will say about Ohio State. This is the best run that we've ever seen in the college football playoff, but it's also
definitely,
because it's the first 12-team playoff. The runs before that were 2 games. This is a 4-game run that they went on, and they were incredible in all 4 games, right? Like,
yeah.
if I were to tell you that Ohio State was going to beat Tennessee,
And then
Oregon,
Oregon,
Texas, and Notre Dame
and then
to win the national championship, you'd be like, wow, that is an impressive gauntlet that
very
they went through.
impressive.
Very impressive compared to Notre Dame, right? Like,
Notre Dame, they beat Indiana,
yep,
and then you go to the next round and you beat Georgia,
a hurt
Penn
no
State.
quarterback Georgia, and then Penn
Yeah,
State. Like, Ohio State's road was much tougher, much better, and they dominated all the way through. So, like, you can, I understand the recency bias thing and how stupid it is, but at the same time, like, it's an incredible run to the playoffs.
it
It's an
is.
incredible run through the playoffs. Something that, like, I don't think we've seen a great run like that in the NFL playoffs in a while, have we? Where it's just like a
The
team
last like
that's
wild card because it had to be like a wild card run
exactly
with all the games.
like the Giants.
Probably the Giants. I mean, the Bengals got all the way to the
Yeah,
Super
the
Bowl,
Bengals. Yeah, the Bengals make sense.
and they had the Raiders, the Titans, the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
give the Bengals the credit because they beat the Chiefs in
yeah.
there. Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, it's an impressive run. I do think. Oh, I was going to ask you this: do you think that the hype dying down is in part due to the college football national or college football playoff being a 12-team playoff now? Because it's been long, like it's been a month
I
since
think
the
that.
first college football playoff game, and people
I
aren't used
think
to that.
that's what it is. I think there's a lot of wives out there, like their husband had the game on last night or something. They're like, "What is this game?" And they're like, "This is a national championship game." You're like, "You were watching the playoffs like 4 weeks ago."
I thought the
You're
national
like, "Oh, that was
championship
the
game was
first
during
round."
Christmas.
You're like, "What was that one weekend where you watched all your friends?" Well, that was Tennessee, Ohio State. That was first round. So yeah, it's pretty long. So you got to think about that, guys. If you're gonna have this expanded to 16 teams,
Yeah,
it's even more games.
yeah. I think it's just different and new. And personally, I think just the New Year's Six games being New Year's Day and New Year's Eve, I think is a beautiful tradition. And I
Yeah,
wish that it would have kept that way. But there's no way of doing that with the current playoff format.
no,
And I think that hurts. I think that
I
hurts
like the.
college football more than anything
It
else. I
does.
think not having those 6 games in those 2 days hurts college football. But like, as much as you want to say that, yes, expanding it, yes, it changes all these things. We wouldn't have had Ohio State in that. But like, not being able to capitalize on the 6 games in 2 days, the New Year 6 games that everyone cares about, that's kind of what hurts here the most, in my personal opinion.
That's true, but I mean, we know the NFL. Goodell will just grab those slots,
Oh yeah,
those empty
but I mean,
slots where
he
those New Year's
did.
Six games are supposed to be. Yeah,
They
so
did this year. Like,
he'll be. Oh yeah, boom.
yeah, yeah, he's chomping at the bits for it. I mean, they grabbed Christmas. The NBA was
Yeah,
pissed, or the NBA. I didn't see ratings for that. I'm sure NFL is probably higher.
it was way higher, dude. LeBron is such an idiot. Sorry to say this, but after Christmas Day, he talks about how like, yeah, no, the NFL they'll see. This is the NBA's day. It's like, bro, you guys got blown out in the ratings.
Since you brought up LeBron, should we talk about LeBron's legacy now that Ohio State has won a national championship?
I
Is he the
mean,
GOAT?
no. God, he was celebrating that 2014 national championship with Ohio State too, and then he's at this one. But then he talks about what college he would have went to, and he's like, "I would have went to Notre Dame.
I
If I
think he
played
said he
college
would have went to
basketball, I would
Duke
have
at
went
one
to Notre Dame."
point.
Then he said he went to Duke,
Yeah.
and then remember the times he was at Oregon because they had cool uniforms and they were good, so he was hanging
Yep.
out there. that guy is something else. I don't know.
I'm
what
just
to say
saying.
about that guy.
Listen, we need to talk about LeBron's legacy for anything that happens in all of sports. I'm telling you, like it's that important. He's the goat. He's the goat, man. I love glazing LeBron. All right.
What are you, Nick Wright now?
Yes. LeBron glaze is funny. Anyone who like glazes LeBron like that is so funny. I saw a Instagram reel of a guy who was like, if you could be one celebrity for a day, who would it be? And he said LeBron James's wife. I forget her name.
Savannah
Was,
James.
yeah, Savannah. And it was like, so I could call LeBron daddy. It was so funny. Dude,
Oh my
the
God.
LeBron glaze is incredible. That's why we have to talk about LeBron's legacy after an
They
Ohio
call
State
them
championship.
the LeBron sexuals, man.
Yeah, the
It's like
LeBron sexuals, man. You know, Trump came out today and said there were only 2 genders, but I see 3. It's the LeBron
3.
sexuals.
The LeBron sexuals.
Oh, I love it.
I can't stand like LeBron super fans. I can't like running into them.
So
They're just
funny.
annoying, dude.
It's so funny. Anything else on this game? The comeback was interesting. It made it a game, but at the end of the day, Ohio State takes care of business, and it comes down to throw the ball up to Jeremiah Smith and see what happens. And it wasn't even like a 50-50 ball. It was just he got open on the corner route, and it was pretty easy. So I don't know.
I want to say in the tunnel after the game, who's the girl driving the car? Who gave her the authority to drive that car? That is just embarrassing. Jesus.
Listen.
Whoa! Smacks into the wall.
Bro, she could have like crushed Ryan Day's leg in like a wheel or something like that into the like wall. It was
Like
bad.
if I'm Ryan Day, like it's just a perfect cap to like his legacy as a coach. Like he finally wins a national championship game. He's in the tunnel. There's just one annoying guy in the background that just keeps going, Ryan Day, bro, you deserve it, bro. You deserve it, bro. And then this girl's crashing into the wall. It's like you're walking in the locker room like, where do I go now?
Listen, we're an equal rights podcast on this channel. However, that woman should not be allowed to drive ever again.
No, that was bad, man.
It was really funny.
There was an officer there, too, and he pulled him over at the end. All he did was help Ryan Day out of the car. But
that was the best part of the post-game that I saw was just that video of her just crashing the cart into a wall.
Something I think is sad is like Lee Corso is such a big Notre Dame guy.
Yep.
I don't think he'll ever see them win a national championship game before he dies.
Probably not. And I saw him, he dressed up in the full Irish for the game day pick. I got a little emotional at that. I was like, damn, Lee, he's old. He might be.
I'm glad he did that, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's like,
I agree.
He'll never see them in the national championship game again. I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. I think Freeman's a good enough coach to where they're going to be around for a good while. I mean, both these teams will be a staple in the college football playoff picture for years and years to come. I think we know that for a fact, right? Like, yes, they're going to fall off. They're going to have their years here and there. That's going to not be as great. But, like, it's Notre Dame and Ohio State. These two teams are still going to be around for a very long time. They're still going to be presence in the college football playoff, especially a 12-team college football playoff for a long time coming. So, credit to both these teams.
I could just see Freeman, like you shouted him out last week on getting an NFL job. He's young enough. He's just young enough. I could see him doing enough in college, successful wise, and just going to the NFL.
I think that's fair.
In a couple of years.
Yeah. We'll see what ends up happening with him.
All right. Your Cowboys are going to get Brian Shatner.
Yeah, we're going to. Oh, my God. I'm going to take a bath with a toaster if we sign that guy. It's so terrible.
Or like Leslie Frazier or something.
We were talking about who's the running backs coach from the Commanders. We were talking about him as our potential hire.
Running backs coach for the Dallas Cowboys from the Commanders?
Yeah, the running backs coach from the Commanders. The running backs coach where their leading rusher is Jaden Daniels. I don't think he's actually their leading rusher, but still.
Well, yeah, the games that have been successful this year, he was their leading rusher.
Sure.
That's embarrassing, dude. I feel so bad for you guys. And your owner is like getting other owners to blackball Mike McCarthy because he said no to him. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
How is it in 2 days he went from
No,
like a
but
top coaching candidate to like he's on no one's radar?
yeah, it's kind of weird. Kind of weird. Kind of sus. But then again, Jerry Jones has power over everyone in the NFL, so I don't know how
Jared
or
made some
why,
calls
but
and went,
yeah.
I just want to let you know, I really adore your team and your family. I just don't want you to get down the same hole we did with this guy. I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend hiring them.
How'd you feel about the college football playoff? First 12 team playoff. How'd you feel overall now that it's done?
Loved it.
Because I think that
Dude,
there are some goods and some bads to it, right?
like we talked about how long it was and everything, but the story of Ohio State. Like
Yeah.
you lose to Michigan. We talked about any other year, you wouldn't even have been near the playoff. You get a chance to fight your way through and prove the world you are the national champion. And I just think about other years in history. Maybe we would have saw a different national champion if we
Yeah.
had a 12-team playoff, and I think we would have. Because this year, I mean, in the national championship game, you have the 7th seed Notre Dame versus 8th seed Ohio State. It's not, you don't even have four of the top four teams. None of the top four teams were in this. None of the top five teams were in this. So I love it. I think the 12-team playoff ended up working out, and it's going to continue on because we saw it. Like you're going to have high seeds that win this whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a lot of like, I think we're going to see the same teams year after year, at least fighting
Yeah,
for the playoff spot. Like a team like LSU, a team like Alabama, a team like maybe South Carolina. Like
it's
they're
like
going to be
March
around.
Madness though.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're going to be fighting for those spots consistently. You're going to have the same teams who are fighting for the spots, who are going to be in those spots, who are going to be highly contenders for everything that we're talking about. Like it's kind of going to be a little repetitive, but at the same time, I think it's good because you're going to get a situation like this where a team gets hot at the right time and they go on a run. I think it's a lot easier to go on a hot run in college football than it is the NFL. That's kind of what we talked about with like there not being as many opportunities as that why our wild card team is like taking that next step and going so high. So I think it'll be
Well,
impressive to see, I
money wise,
money
it's
wise
good
too.
too for
Yeah,
restaurants, businesses. Like it's an extra weekend, multiple weekends. You get to advertise college football
exactly.
games and like good college football games too.
Yeah. I think I'm still a little bit not impressed with it this year just because of the couple of things that we talked about. One, the New Year's Six games, not having all of those on the same day, it sucks. It really does. Like it sucks. Having the college football championship game, the actual title game being so far away from the start of the playoffs feels off. It doesn't feel comfortable. And then having such a long season is just something that people are going to have to adapt to. Also getting that late first round bye in the season, teams are going to have to adapt to that, right? Like I think a lot of this stuff that went wrong this year will figure itself out over time, but I wasn't happy with it happening in the first year.
Yeah.
So I thought it was still a good playoff. I thought it was fun. That second weekend was good.
Another thing, you have Travis Scott for the halftime performance, right? Yesterday.
I
I
wanted to talk
get
about
like
this.
he's doing this cool thing. Why not have it inside the stadium? You're at Mercedes Benz.
Why not just have it be a live performance?
Yeah, it was like a tape performance of like him on a roof.
Yeah,
Like
I think it was like CGI too. I don't think he was actually on the roof.
I'm like, what is this?
I was so
And
confused.
yeah.
Yeah, they were hyping up a Travis Scott halftime show, and it just ended up being Travis Scott CGI'd on top of the roof of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Like, what the heck?
I think
I thought that was so stupid.
they need to go to like a counseling meeting with like the Detroit Lions halftime crew for like their Thanksgiving
Yeah.
picking. They all just need help for like their halftime performance, like how to set up a halftime performance. Because like the Lions do bad stuff like that too. Remember Jack Harlow?
Yeah.
We had like that tiny little like igloo when he walked out of humping
I
the
forgot
baby.
about that.
It was so bad.
That was funny.
That's kind of what this reminded me of. I was like, this is a bad halftime performance.
I agree. All right. That kind of wraps up the 2025 season.
One more thing I want
You
to
got
say.
something else? Go ahead.
For the first time since before World War II, the Big Ten has won back-to-back national championships in college football.
It's crazy. How do
That
you
is
feel as an
insane.
SEC homer? Are you sad?
It's just
Are
like
you
a
on
new
suicide
world.
watch?
No, it's just a new world, dude. It just feels weird. Like you can't walk around and be like, yeah, Wait till them play the SEC boys.
If I say Cooper on suicide watch, the SEC is definitely winning the national championship next year. So, because that's the jinx. You can't say that to Cooper.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's a fantasy football reference right there.
Yeah.
Shout out Colin. One of the funniest leagues that happened this year in fantasy football. Yeah. Listen, Big Ten.
I think if I had to put a bet, I think the SEC will win a national championship next year.
It'll be interesting because looking forward to next season a little bit, which is kind of what I wanted to do. You're going to have Ohio State coming back. We'll see who their quarterback's going to be. Probably Julian Sayin. Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, he's going to be.
You got Penn State, Aller, Allen, Singleton, all coming back. Like, that's a good core. Notre Dame will be relevant. They'll be around. Oregon will still be around. Losing Dylan Gabriel kind of hurts them.
Illinois in the Big Ten, too. Luke Aldemeyer is still going to be there for Illinois. They were a 9-3 team this year. They could be better.
Yeah, Altmeier's good, too. They could actually be really good. Yeah. There's a couple teams in the Big Ten who could still be good. There's the 3 top teams who are still going to be good, and then there's kind of those lingering teams like the Illinois, Indiana's. Maybe if Michigan somehow just miraculously turns it around after 1 year, getting a new quarterback in can change that. I know he's a true freshman, so I don't have too much hope for him. But then you got the SEC with it. It's like Georgia's going to be back. Texas is going to be back. You got Arch. Who else? South Carolina, LSU, Alabama are all hungry teams that didn't make the playoff last year that still have some teams coming back. A&M's coming back, yep.
You still have Marcel Reed there. He's still a young, great quarterback.
True.
Florida, DJ Lagway.
Taking a step up.
Dude, I'm really hyped for him.
He's the GOAT, dude. Nico, another year of Nico at Tennessee. Another year.
Nico.
Yeah. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the SEC, man.
ACC, I don't see anyone. Miami?
Clemson will be good. Cade Klubnik coming back. They have a lot of guys coming back, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to get a lot of transfer guys, but they have enough guys who are coming back to where they're not going to lose too much. Realistically, the only guy they're losing is Maffa, who's a running back. Okay. Running backs can be replaced in college football like none other. So Clemson will be back next year. I believe in them. I think Notre Dame will be back.
Big 12 is just every year is going to be a free-for-all.
Yeah, Big 12, BYU will be back. Iowa State will probably be back. Arizona State will probably be back.
In that conference, we can't pick a team necessarily because we saw this year.
Oh, yeah, no.
I thought Oklahoma State was going to win the whole conference.
Can I guarantee one thing about the Big 12 for next year? Are you ready?
Yeah.
CU will not win the Big 12.
No.
I can guarantee you this. CU will not win the Big 12.
They won't.
There's zero doubt in my mind.
If I'm CU, I don't know what this athletic director is doing. I'm going to do anything I can to keep on to prime. Colorado is prime.
Exactly.
I drove by Boulder recently, and it's still Boulder, but the football program's prime, bro. They don't have any really old traditions that people remember. At least they were all from the 80s and early 90s.
It's just prime and weed.
Yeah,
those are the two things that Boulder has.
If Colorado loses prime, their football program is done.
Yeah, and the entire city just becomes weed, which it actually already is.
Boulder goes back to that.
Yeah. You can't lose prime, man. Prime is keeping the weed away as much as he possibly can.
Well, it's just he gives that community a sense of pride almost, where it's before it's they were such a laughing stock, bro. Living here, you didn't even want to pretend you were cheering for CU because it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It just always sucked.
I agree. All right, let's do a couple season wrap up things. What was your highlight of the season?
I think my highlight of the season.
I have one. Are you ready?
I think this is my highlight of the season.
Okay.
A lot of teams we saw this year have historic seasons we've never seen before, like Indiana, SMU, Arizona State, where I didn't expect teams like that to make strides and get into the playoff this year, and they actually did.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be all the big dogs.
Yeah, I think that was an awesome thing, right? Getting a team like Arizona State in, getting SMU over Alabama. Like, that stuff was cool. Obviously, it didn't work out in the long run, but like,
No, but
it was cool, right?
yeah.
My biggest highlight, I think it was the best game this year, Arizona State versus Texas. It was the most fun game this year. I think it was the best game this year. It really let kind of the stars shine, and I think that was the most fun part about it. So
Yeah.
that game was my game of the year. I think that's also the moment of the year. Also, other highlight of the year is just the Instagram account that did the DJ Lagway videos. Just incredible.
Watch
like
Glass TV.
Yeah, off the glass TV, man.
Off the Glass is coming back next year, man.
We love them so much. It's fucking Lagway time. It was definitely the highlight of my week. Every week was just waiting for DJ Lagway.
DJ Lagway's the best. I mean, he's Christian. He's
the next Tim Tebow.
He did like football.
It was so funny. Biggest disappointment this year?
Biggest disappointment for me probably was the Michigan-Texas game.
Yeah.
Like, when I had saw that scheduled a few years ago, I was like, ooh, UT goes to Ann Arbor. That's going to be cool.
That's
and
a good
after,
one.
like, Michigan winning the national championship game last year, Texas being so good, I still thought it'd be a great game. And it just was a dud.
Yeah, that was a good one. I have two biggest disappointments on the year, and it kind of goes into your biggest highlight. SMU and Indiana getting in the playoff.
Okay.
Both those games were terrible. Both those teams got killed. And although it was cool to see them in the playoff, I did not care to actually watch them play a college football playoff, even if it was a first-round game. So, yeah, it was just sad seeing that. Because it's like, oh, they work so hard to get to this point. And then, hey, you're frauds. So, yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. What else? Favorite player? Do you have a favorite player from this season? Standout
My
player?
favorite player, hands down, is DJ Lagway.
Well, yeah.
That's my guy. But if I said besides a Florida player, I'm
trying to think.
My favorite player of the year.
I think mine would be Nico Iamaleava. I just think it's a cool story. True freshman, obviously super hyped. Riley Leonard, good pick. Yeah.
Riley Leonard's my guy. He's such a multi-sport athlete. Did track and field, basketball.
Yeah.
Football was even like his top sport, and led a team like Notre Dame at quarterback to the national champion. They didn't win the national championship, but he goes all the way to the national championship game. So
yeah, exactly. It's impressive.
He's my guy.
What are you looking forward to most next season?
What I'm looking forward to most is probably the non-conference matchups early on in the season, which I really love.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, because next year you have the same Texas-Michigan, but it's going to be in Austin.
Sure.
You got the Florida-Miami one that's going to be in Orlando. There's a lot of matchups like that early on in the season that I love. I'm just excited again for college football. Like I said, I just love Saturdays, waking up, college game day, seeing everybody wearing their college gear.
Yeah.
It's the best.
You're wearing college gear right now. CSU, baby.
My goal for this next season is I have to make it a priority to plan ahead because I want to go to games.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to save my vacation time to where during college football season, I have a ton of vacation time I can use.
Yeah.
So I can go to games. I want to start going to games.
That's smart. The only problem is CU has good atmosphere right now. CSU's atmosphere is pretty
well. I'm not really talking about Colorado games. I want to travel and go to games.
Yeah.
I love watching college football so much and seeing some of these cool environments like Penn State, see Tennessee Stadium.
True.
I want to see some of these really cool stadiums in college football. I want to go see Husky Stadium in Seattle.
Yeah, that'd be sick, actually.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That'd be cool. I was going to say my highlight for next year, it's one person and one person only. It's fucking Arch Manning. I'm ready to see what this kid can
Texas,
do.
Dude.
We've been talking about it for 2 years, man. It's Texas. It's a Manning. There's so much around this situation. And if they are good, they are going to be really fucking fun to watch. So I'm keeping an eye on Arch Manning. I hope he's going to end up being good because, yeah, that'll be exciting. So I'm looking forward to some Arch next season.
If they get to the playoff again, man, it'll be 3 straight years Texas in the playoffs.
Exactly. Texas back? Question mark? Sam Ehlinger?
Oh,
we're back.
Yeah. They're definitely back, but Sam Ehlinger's time, no, they were not back.
Shout out Sam Ellinger. Well, that kind of does it for the season. 2024-2025 college football season is in the books.
Yes, sir.
We will have Barkle back.
I'm sad.
We'll have him back. We'll do some draft talks. If there's any like big transfers or coach firings or hirings or something like that, we'll come on talk about that. Mainly draft stuff. We'll have to do a couple different draft things, right?
Yeah.
Draft's
I
important.
want to do combine, maybe a podcast around the combine time.
I don't want to do combine. That sounds miserable. I hate the combine.
You don't want to talk about your men in underwear running around?
I do not want to talk about offensive lineman's 40 time.
You don't want to talk about his great thighs and his position down when he does the broad jump?
No, we'll leave that to Gruden.
Yeah.
Gruden can barstool it up and call everyone nicey, and he could do it better than we can. So
yeah,
I think that's fair.
Gruden grinders. I really hope they bring
nicey. It's so funny. He's great. I love Gruden. He always finds new ways to reinvent himself. It's incredible. He's incredible.
He does, man.
Yeah.
He came back. Talk about a guy that makes a comeback, bro. Yeah. I thought they had him in the grave, bro.
I mean, he was
had
canceled.
Some enemies out there that were like trying to get him done for good, man.
Yeah. It's impressive. Good for him, man.
I hope he finds out who did that to him. Because, like...
Yeah, seriously.
He got blackmailed bad, dude.
Yeah, he did.
By someone.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. But good for him. And then Coop on the Ropes will be back. We'll do some fighting talk. That was good fighting moves right there.
You're gonna lose really badly. But maybe we'll see a Paul McGregor fight, dude. They were together at the inauguration. So
yeah, Paul McGregor. We'll do some UFC stuff. I might be going to the fight in March again in Vegas just because if I can get tickets to it and it's only like a 6-hour drive, I might as well just take advantage and just go every time. It's the first weekend of March. It's
not spring break yet.
Or no, it's the second weekend of March, like the 7th. I think it's on the 8th. Yeah. It's Pereira versus Angalaev, whatever his name is.
I mean, if that's spring break, I might try to go to that.
Yeah. It's a good fight.
I've never been to Vegas as an adult.
Really? Oh, yeah, East Coast, man. That's true. I've been West Coast a lot.
The last time I went to Vegas I was like 12 years old. We were driving to San Diego.
Yeah.
To see family, and we stopped at the Luxor for a night.
Yeah. See, and I've lived in states since 2019 that are all within driving distance to Vegas. So
you've been to Vegas so many times, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Then again, I'd go to Vegas pretty frequently when I was in Texas too. So
yeah.
Shout out to Vegas. We love Vegas.
Last time you've been to Orlando.
That's true. I haven't been to Orlando. I went to Orlando. I went to Orlando in 2018 to go see Powell.
Yeah.
Who was living out there at the
time. I mean, if you're not going to Disney or Universal, don't go to Orlando.
Well, I mean, we went to Disney, yeah. Like that was That was the only reason why I went. I was just like, hey, when do you have 2 days off? I want to go to Disney for a couple days. She was like, yeah, do this. I was like, all right, done. So
hands down, worst Waffle House I've ever been to in my life is in Orlando.
Dude, I've been craving a Waffle House recently, actually. But like, I want like a late night Waffle House. Like, I don't want to just go to Waffle House. I need like a
Waffle House
in
Utah.
I'm pretty sure there is. There probably is. There's got to be one.
There's got to be.
There's got to be. That's it. We'll have Cooper on for other stuff, college basketball, maybe. What other stuff do you want to talk about? Are you retiring from the F1 world?
I mean, I've never been brought back on. I'm not retiring. I always said I'm the personality hire. So, like, you guys want to bring me back on, bring me back on. But I mean,
that's true. I forgot about the personality hire.
I'm still available for it. I'm not retired from it. I mean,
yeah, it's fair. All right, we'll figure something out. We'll bring him back eventually for something. I don't know yet.
Yeah,
something. We'll figure it out. All right, that'll do it for the podcast. It's been a great season of college football. Thank you, Mr. Barkwell, as always. We'll find other times and other reasons to get you back.
Yeah,
that was good movement
on,
right
dude.
there. Good movement.
I still got to do a comedy sketch too eventually.
Yeah, I've already started to look into that, by the way. So when
there's
I come
a place
out there
in Fort Collins. So
yeah, that's what I looked at. The only issue is they're only open Mondays, or their open night is Mondays. So I got to figure out if I can like get you signed up for a day that's like a different day while I'm there. So trust me, I've been looking into it. We're figuring it out because I'll be there in March, and so I'm trying to plan ahead. So,
all right,
better get to writing.
No, I'm going. I'm just going up, dude.
That's a terrible idea.
All right,
by the
bro.
way. You need to write some jokes. You need to write some jokes, dude. Trust. Thank you, Barkwell.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
see you next year or some other podcast.
Dude, I'm going to go watch 1923, guys. Good show. It's on
Have fun.
Paramount.
Yeah, do that. All right.
Take
later.
a look at it. Peace.